Okay, well, tell me, what do you
Well,
want to talk about, Stu?
we have we could do a little discussion on the Ooda Loop. You ever heard of the Ooda Loop?
No, but this sounds like something you would do with an Oompa Loompa after a hard night of drinking.
Nope. The Ooda Loop is actually a really kind of how your mind and body work together when it is in any situation.
I'm in. Let's do
Right?
it.
You up for that? So
Yeah.
The Ooda Loop stands for observe,
Uh-huh.
orient. You want to write these down? That'd be a good one.
Of course I am. Is this going to fit with our Carver method of what we're going to
Yeah,
blow
you know
up?
what?
Or
It's not unlike the Carver method. Absolutely.
okay,
So
Uda. Okay,
observe,
okay, okay,
orient,
okay, okay,
decide,
okay,
and act.
okay.
And
All right.
this was developed by Air Force fighter pilot Lieutenant Colonel Boyd,
Okay.
right? And he was a Korean War veteran. So, I mean, this has been in existence for almost 70 years.
Okay.
So, in fact, if you ever go to Air Force Base and there's a loop, like uh, like you're driving and you see an address, it's
Uh-huh.
very good chance that that is going to be called the Ooda Loop.
So you might live
Okay,
on Uda Loop.
you might live on Ooda Loop.
Okay.
It is a thing. Google it, you'll learn a whole lot more about the history, and it's fascinating. But it really is kind of how the mind body connect. No matter what situation you're in, this process can take a split second, but it can also be used in more thoughtful um, processes of work, life, whatever. Right. So
Okay.
think about it. You know, your senses are involved in observing.
Okay.
What are you observing in business? We'll try to like relate this to business
Well,
versus.
let's do something real quick. You gave two different scenarios. One, it's like a split second thing,
Okay.
and the other one is a in a longer thing.
All
So
right.
I
Let me give you one real quick about the split second.
okay,
Okay. So you're driving down the street
okay,
and you're about to go into an intersection,
okay,
and there you notice it's green.
uh-huh,
It's a green light, so you're about to go, but in your peripheral vision, you see a guy that is obviously not going to stop,
right,
and you now, have to figure out, all right, do I need to, you observe this happening,
uh-huh,
and you now figure out that, all right, within a matter of a few seconds, I'm about to hit this car
uh-huh,
going my current route. Do I make a decision to stop immediately? Do I veer left? Do I veer right? There's all these little things that are being processed in your head at that split second.
right,
And you make a decision to do one. And that decision requires a near almost immediate reaction and action. And
okay,
that is a basic form of the OODA loop. Now you can apply it to military precision. Think about a fighter pilot. I mean, good lord. I mean, you're talking about within a second and a half, that thing has already been traveling at 500 miles an hour. It's making some distance in that short of time. So, what Boyd was doing in a lot of the training of his younger fighter pilots was to make this process faster, smoother, and more accurate decisions on the actions.
okay,
So that was the whole premise of this, but people have used it countless ways in the last 60 plus years and have applied it to business, applied it to everyday, applied it to hand-eye coordination training. There's a lot of uses for it.
okay. So let's talk about how you would use this in a business situation.
All right. Well, how about you tell me? How would you
Okay.
use it in a business situation?
Okay. So I'll use I'll use an example of something that we're working on right now in content marketing scripts. Okay. One of the things that I have observed is that everybody understands the concept of the three steps of content marketing, which is ideation, creation, and systematic distribution. Everybody understands that. But what I'm seeing is that everybody's been doing a great job using the scripts with number one and number two, but understanding that there's the whole battery analogy. What's happening is part three, by the time they get done, they only have a little bit of battery power left, and most people aren't doing the systematic distribution, and they're certainly not doing it with their feeder content. So I decided, whilst on one of my many now recent, early morning walks, I decided, you know what? We need to automate this. We need to find a way to make this the easiest part of the process. And the only way that we're going to be able to do that is to use software. So I had to make a decision. So maybe this is this gets a little fuzzy here between orienting and deciding, but it's getting stuff figured out.
Hey, real quick, Jim. A lot of people describe that Orient phase as it is a conglomeration of your training, your history, your experiences. All of those things go into helping you orient yourself, into making the right decision.
Okay.
Into adding options for you to decide.
Okay. So I think that is still under Orient. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to figure out, okay, are we going to do it, or are we going to partner with somebody? And after much deliberation, research, and everything else, I decided that we were going to partner with somebody. So we started looking at all the different options out there. We made the decision who we were going to partner with. In the space of a week and a half, went from not even knowing of this company, but not knowing anybody there, to working my way all the way up to the CEO, having pretty intense negotiations with them and buying a piece of their company. So that, that was the action stuff.
Yeah.
So now we're just getting everything straight so that we can have a nice level of integration with them before we roll that out. So that is definitely where I have used this process in the last month and didn't even realize I was oodling. So I was oodaing. So that's kind of cool. So this isn't something that has to happen instantaneously, but if you I think probably the biggest, if I'm just thinking now about myself and other people, is that this right here is the key step, because we've all got tons of experience and other stuff, or can access experience, but it's being observant. It's in business, especially, it's actually observing what's going on and being able to make your own decisions about what you think it means, because by the time somebody else is telling you what something means, it's not too late, but you're certainly not the first mover.
Yep.
If that makes sense. So that's one thing that I have tried to develop in myself is trusting my own intuition about stuff, trusting my own decision, not waiting for someone else to validate what I'm observing, because then it's too late. I think that a lot of that comes from my history degree. I mean, looking back at it and stuff, and other things that have happened in my life, I can see things that develop that in me where maybe other people might not have developed it to the degree that you would hope they would.
Yeah, absolutely. And observation is also not just seeing things, right? It is all senses being involved in how you perceive what is going on. It's not only looking at personal vulnerabilities, it's looking at opportunities, problems, maybe even future problems, being able to foresee some of those things.
Right.
All of that is part of the observe phase. And you're right. Observe is very important. I would say orient is also very important, because that is the root of really the amount of information that you're turning into, or I should say, it's the amount of data that you're observing that you're turning into information that will be useful. And that comes from everything in your life that you've experienced, from education to experience and training and just everything. So
Yeah.
it's a really powerful way to break down what happens from first perception to acting.
And interestingly enough, this is a framework to use where most people's framework when they observe something or see something is like, what the hell? Go into panic mode. There's no framework for breaking stuff down, especially, I mean, nobody's pointing a gun at you. Nobody's about to drive a beer truck into you in an intersection. Calm down, take a breath, and then think it through. What this really is this is a framework for thinking something through.
Yep.
Instead of just, why is this happening, Stu?
Hey, another thing that stops us dead in its tracks
Yes.
at the observe phase is denial.
Ooh.
Like denial will stop this dead in its tracks. Like
start over on that, because
yeah, normally it flows pretty smoothly, right? But there is something that can trigger an immediate stop, and that is you denying what you're seeing, you denying what you're feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
you denying that there's a problem.
Sure.
So,
or denying that there's an opportunity, not observing that there's an opportunity. I think denial with problems, and there's other stuff like that. But where do you see denial? Before or after the observe phase? After, like in
yeah, it's in between, and it just puts it detours the whole process.
Okay. So denial.
I mean, just think about it. I mean, how many times have you had something on your to-do list around the house that you've observed is really nagging, right? Let's say a leaky faucet, right? And you're just saying, yeah, it'll be all right. I can twist it a little bit and make it go off. I don't really need to fix that yet. And then, you put it off because you're like, man, this is going to take me all day to fix this. And then you wind up fixing it in 10 minutes. So that's a really poor analogy, but it is just one of those things that it can stop progress immediately.
Sticking your head in the sand. You like what is that? Is that not an ostrich? Look at that, man.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad. I mean, a kindergartner would have gotten at least a C. I can see that, though. Living in denial, being in denial of what you're seeing, sticking your head in the ground. I'll tell you something else. Another one. This is just, now we're just riffing and thinking. I'm loving this because it's really got me thinking. I love the framework stuff.
I thought you would.
But one of the things I think that also is in play in here as well, and I'm not sure, I think it's right here, is, and this, I feel compelled to say this, is waiting for things to change back. Like you see something coming, and all of your mental cooking skills are telling you this is some change. But you don't go down to deciding you're going to do something, let alone acting. So you, at this stage, you decide, you know what? I don't know what to do, and I can't decide what to do. So I'm just going to wait for stuff to change back. I'm going to wait till this blows over. I'm going to wait. That it goes hand in hand with the denial. It's like the denial phase after the orientation phase. So let me give you an example. The world of online selling is very different now than it was 25 years ago. 25 years ago, selling online was real simple. It was real simple. You basically ask people to be on your mailing list. You send them emails. You got traffic by getting press. You got traffic by doing stuff that worked in the search engines. And you got traffic by other people telling people about you for a commission or just because they were doing new stuff. Then it slowly has changed. At some points, it's changed faster than other things, but it has been perpetual change. And I have seen people, a lot of people that I could name by name. I'm not going to, but they all, if you imagine that the information superhighway, they all at various points got off at rest stops on the information highway journey we were all on, and literally are waiting for things to change back. They're waiting for, no, I'm serious. It's like they stopped evolving and are just waiting for the grand cycle to come back, and it's never gonna. So that's just interesting because this is giving me the framework to kind of see how people act and think and do all that stuff. And in what this is telling me is that when you see something, it's almost like the best way to go from observing to orienting is to eliminate judgment up front. And what I mean by that is this we all want to say, hey, this is bad, this is good, this is a threat, this is everything. It's like, let me see what's happening and let me just kind of as non-partisan as possible, let me figure out what's going on here. Let me, investigate all aspects of this, a good walk to think this over, not a run, because I can't think when I'm running, but a good walk just to think it through and then lay out alternatives, evaluate, decide. And then once you've decided, one of the things in Think and Grow Rich that Napoleon Hill identified is that super successful people are quick to act and slow to change their minds. Unsuccessful people are slow to act and very quick to change their minds. Their commitment level is low. So once you make that commitment to act, you need to act because you're acting on the best decision that you could make at the time. So
that's really good. I thought you would be able to do something with this because after chatting with you the last couple of weeks and the project that you just mentioned, that was right up the Ooda Loop alley.
Sure. Now, it's not to say once you start acting that everything's perfect, because usually when you start acting is literally when the real work happens, when you start solving problems and making stuff happen. But you're not.
You have to repeat the Ooda Loop because your actions will affect the present situation. Right. And you will have to observe how you just affected, your present situation.
Sure.
And you go through it again.
Observe what's going on, orient, do your mental cooking, decide what you're going to do, and then act. And then it just repeats itself over and over and over again. In fact, I dare say that this might be considered a loop.
Do you want to see how I drew it up, Jim?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's why they call it an Ooda Loop.
Yeah, let me share this with you.
Nah, this is good. You and Dexter do this like, hey, let me throw something out, wind Jim up, and let him go.
Yes. Check this out. So I wrote an article on the Ooda Loop, and this is on my website, stewsmithfitness.com, and I just applied it to tactical fitness.
Okay.
Right. And I made this, by the way, my little OODA loop. So observe,
Excuse
orient,
me.
decide, act. And then right here it says finish or repeat, right? Because
Okay.
you're going to repeat that loop there. And what I did is I actually put this OODA loop into my tactical athlete operator Venn diagram,
Okay.
right? Where I have durability, work capacity, stress mitigation, and stability. And it's part of this stability section where you're, just job skills, coordination, mindset, all of those things kind of go together. And this OODA loop, making this OODA loop a better process can definitely help you with somebody's printing something.
Yeah, sorry, dude. I'm in my wife's basement still.
I got you.
I'm getting a garage built for myself. It's gonna
I
take a
got you.
while.
That's all right. So anyway, I put the OODA loop into my Venn diagram of the tactical athlete. Wrote a little bit about the history and everyday situations of the OODA loop, and just kind of broke it down, and training ideas and how you can actually train it. More for the tactical mindset, but
Mhm.
it was still a nice little piece that I did last week that just got me thinking. I said this would be great to do on the Jim and Stu show. So
Absolutely. I love it. I need to learn more about it. I would love for us in the not too distant future to talk about the Carver method. That framework is awesome. I actually have taught that to and adapted it to be able to help entrepreneurs be able to choose amongst a number of possibilities when
yeah.
it's that's all about the decide. That's a framework for deciding.
Yeah, but it's
um
also it's a very clever way to understand that vulnerabilities are opportunities,
mhm, mhm.
right? What people see as a vulnerability out in society, or maybe another business is having a vulnerability, it's an opportunity for you to
Absolutely.
figure out how to do it. You can apply that to military missions as well, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that framework, I mean, I'm never
Yep.
going to be a fighter pilot. I barely have a driver's license, but I can definitely use this. I'm gonna read your article and start thinking that through, because that's a great framework to be able to think things through. Awesome. Well, great job, Stu. This is a really
Thank you,
good
sir.
show today. And you
Thank you,
know
sir.
what? We didn't
We didn't have Mr. Pickles, man. What the heck?
Yeah,
We were able to pull
I'd
this
like to
off with no gimmicks.
I'd like to hear about your OODA loop there, Mr. Pickles.
Mr. Pickles' OODA loop is probably should be reserved for TikTok. Yeah, I guess I think we have some homeschoolers that watch us on this show. I don't think you want Mr. Pickles talking about any kind of OODA loop or anything like that. He might lose his cool. So awesome. Well, appreciate probably a little gherkin. Nice. All right. Well, we appreciate y'all being here. We didn't really acknowledge everybody, but thanks, Frederick, Leslie, Vicky, Rob, Anna's here, Leslie, Carl. What's up, Carl? Deanna's here, C Ray's here, Nancy's here. So we had a bunch of people here with us live. So I'm glad you guys, hope you enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. I learned some cool new stuff. So thank you for this topic, Stu. This was awesome.
You are welcome, sir.
And we had a really great interview with Christine. She's doing great. And it was what made me excited about her book is that she's in a great position to use that book to get all kinds of offline business. That's just shows how having your own book really is like the Swiss Army knife of marketing tools in your toolbox. You can use it a whole bunch of different ways. So before we end, let's check in with Susan and make sure we're okay. Susan.
Okay, why wouldn't you be okay?
I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that it was okay for us to end the show. Are we good?
Hey, I'm not your mother, nor do I live with you. So you do your own thing.
All right. Well, appreciate you too, Susan. Thanks for being here. And all right, great job, Stu. And we will talk to you soon. Everybody have a great day.